Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Jerry Tope. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate you watching DCTV. Today's show is aired Wednesday and usually rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and re-aired on Saturday at noon, 2:30 and 8.
Today is February 22nd, 2017. Now here's the news. According to the Cortez Journal, a 69-year-old Durango man suspected of touching a girl inappropriately was charged Friday with sexual assault on a child. Frederick Blevins is accused of touching the girl below the waist while she was being babysat by another adult February 5th in the Hermosa area, according to an arrest affidavit filed in 6th Judicial District Court in Durango. Blevins was arrested February 9th and remained in jail Friday on a $75,000 bail. His public defense lawyer plans to argue for lower bail at a March 3rd court hearing. Blevins, who was drinking alcohol at the time of the alleged incident, gave mixed answers in response to questions about what happened. During a conversation that was recorded by the La Plata County Sheriff's Office, he, at times, said he didn't remember anything that happened, at other times he apologized for whatever happened, and at other times he said nothing inappropriate happened, according to the affidavit. The girl repeated her statements about being touched inappropriately to a nurse examiner and during a forensic interview with law enforcement.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, in an effort to boost the local outdoor recreation economy, Montezuma County commissioners want to obtain ownership of the roughly 800-acre Sage Hen area on McPhee Reservoir from the San Juan National Forest. The county wants to take over management and bring back camping, which was banned by the Forest Service in 2007 because of vandalism and lack of resources. But a transfer would require an act of the U.S. Congress and presidential approval. The idea is not as far-fetched as it sounds, as has happened twice in nearby Dolores. In 1998, then U.S. Senator Wayne Allard sponsored legislation to transfer the 80-acre Joe Rowell Park from the San Juan National Forest to the town of Dolores. When McPhee Reservoir was built, the project footprint included an area of the park, but the land was not needed for reservoir operations. Management was given to the Forest Service, and Dolores received permission to install lighted baseball fields and a clubhouse. But federal bureaucracy hampered park improvements or changes, prompting the often repeated joke that an environmental impact statement was needed to change a light bulb. Transferring the park to the town for no cost was seen as the most practical solution, Mate said, and Allard agreed to take it on. Mate said the legislative process took 2 years and involved a lot of hoops that we had to jump through, including land surveys and appraisals, legislation, congressional testimony, and approval in Senate and House committees. Top lawyers for the Forest Service felt giving the land away would set a bad precedent, Mate said. But in the end, the bill was attached to a larger legislative package and was passed and transferred in 2000.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a 50-year-old man from Cortez has been identified as the driver who died Sunday after his vehicle collided with a Colorado Department of Transportation snowplow near Dolores. Colorado State Patrol said Dennis Wilson was traveling toward Dolores on Colorado Highway 184 from Mancos when he lost control of his 2003 Dodge 2500 and hit the snowplow head-on. Wilson was taken to Southwest Memorial Hospital in Cortez but died either on the way or at the hospital, said Colorado State Patrol spokesman Nate Reed. The driver of the CDOT snowplow, 68-year-old Edward Lewis of Mancos, was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. He was released Sunday. According to Reed, Wilson was northbound on Colorado 184 about 1:45 p.m., and as he entered a shallow curve, lost control of the vehicle and crossed into the southbound lane. Reed said there was slush on the northbound lane that likely contributed to the loss of control. Wilson crashed head-on with the driver's side of the snowplow, which was removing snow and slush from the southbound lane. Wilson was not wearing a seatbelt, Reed said. Wilson was the only person in the Dodge pickup, and Reed was unsure if a seatbelt would have saved his life.
Reported by the Cortez Journal in the West, calling water a contentious issue is an ocean of an understatement. As the climate warms and populations grow in the coming decades, many water experts agree that desalinated water will likely play a role in quenching California's thirst. Where they disagree is in how to remove the salt from ocean water in a way that makes sense economically and for the environment. Seawater desalination likely isn't a practical way to produce the bulk of California's water. The Huntington Beach plant, for example, would produce just 8% of the water needed in Orange County. That's partly due to cost. According to a 2016 report by the Pacific Institute, a global water think tank, seawater desalination is currently one of the most expensive water sources in California. Alternative supplies are as much as 4 times cheaper than desalination. While conservation measurements can actually save money, thirsty communities likely need to draw water from many sources, says Heather Cooley, the water program director at the Pacific Institute. One option is desalinating water from brackish water sources, like some aquifers, a process that uses less energy than ocean desalination and doesn't put marine life at risk. It makes sense to pursue cheaper, more environmentally friendly options before resorting to pulling water from the ocean and filtering out the salt. Efficiency has to be a central fundamental focus, Cooley says. Once water conservation recycling and other less costly techniques like brackish desalination have already been tapped out, seawater desalination is an option too.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, 2 southwest Colorado-based companies are joining an increasing legion of businesses choosing to remove their ads from the controversial website Breitbart News. In November, a Twitter account called Sleeping Giants began alerting companies that their advertising was appearing on Breitbart News, which has been accused of publishing racist, misogynistic, homophobic, and xenophobic content. We are trying to stop racist websites by stopping their ad dollars, the Sleeping Giants profile says. Many companies don't even know it's happening. It's time to tell them. Within months, more than 1,130 companies fled the publication formerly headed by President Donald Trump's chief strategist Steve Bannon. On that swelling list are Purgatory Resort and Osprey Packs. A number of other nationwide businesses with locations in the region also are getting off Breitbart News. According to Sleeping Giant's Twitter account, which has more than 58,300 followers, consumers are asked to go to Breitbart News, take a screenshot of an ad next to the network's content, then tweet to the company to notify them about their ad placements. Most companies are unaware their ads are on the site, Sleeping Giant says, because advertising often is purchased in what's known as a media buy, in which an automated system spreads ads across the internet. According to eMarketer, U.S. companies spend $22 billion a year on this service. Such was the case with Purgatory Resort, about 30 miles north of Durango, which purchases digital advertising through an agency that targets skiers and other demographics, said spokeswoman Kim Euler. And now, let's take a look at the weather.
A large trough of low pressure pushing inland from off the west coast will bring unsettled weather to the forecast area through the remainder of the work week. Rain and snow will increase across the northern portion of the region this morning and spread south later today and tonight. As the system begins to get into our broadcast area, winds will increase to 20 to 25 miles per hour and gusts as high as 40, with only a very slight drop in speed tonight. Colder air will push in tonight and Thursday behind the system's cold front. The northern mountains of the region will be favored with the heaviest snows. Snow advisories have been posted for those areas. The chance of showers will continue into Friday before drier air moves in for Friday night and Saturday. Coldest temperatures will be Saturday morning. We are still expecting that Saturday night through Tuesday there is potential for moderate to heavy precipitation with near normal highs and lows. Our national forecast shows a frontal system across the eastern Gulf and Florida will keep showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for parts of the southeast through Thursday, generally an inch of rain with some areas getting more as expected. Over the next few days, a broad upper-level trough will be in place over the west, which will keep a cooler, more moist air mass over the region. A cold front exiting out of the Rockies and into the high plains and upper Midwest today will continue on its way through the central U.S. by Thursday. The boundary will stretch all the way from the desert southwest to the Great Lakes and the northeast. Widespread precipitation is forecast from the Continental Divide eastward to the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley through early Saturday morning. The better chance for snowfall accumulations will be from the Wasatch eastward into the central Rockies, where amounts of up to 12 to 18 inches are possible in the highest elevations. Amounts in the adjacent high plains are forecast to be 4 to 8 inches. Winter storm watches are in effect from Wyoming to Wisconsin. Winter weather advisories are in effect for portions of Utah, Idaho, and Montana. Strong gusty winds will accompany this system as it crosses into the plains. The influx of drier air will increase the threat for wildfires. Red flag warnings are in effect for eastern New Mexico and Colorado. Currently, the southern and central high plains are at a critical risk for such activity based on the latest Storm Prediction Center fire weather outlook. Mild temperatures are forecast to continue through the end of the week. Forecast temperatures from the center of the country eastward into the upper Great Lakes and middle Mississippi Valley are approximately 20 to 30 degrees above average. Daily temperature records may be reached or exceeded across the region. In our 5-day forecast, there are not any significant changes in temperature patterns from those we've seen for the last couple of weeks in either the highs or the lows for the next 5 days. Highs near 50 and lows ranging from teens to the lower middle 30s. And now back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, Colorado lawmakers' quest to navigate the realities of legalized marijuana opened a new chapter Tuesday at the Capitol. Senate Bill 63, which would allow clubs where recreational marijuana could be purchased and consumed, was heard by the Senate Business, Technology, and Labor Committee on Tuesday. After lengthy public testimony, it was laid over until Wednesday for amendments and a final vote. Senator Vicky Marble, Republican of Fort Collins and sponsor of SB 63, said the bill attempts to cut down on illegitimate underground clubs and provide outlets for a growing pot tourism industry that leaves visitors at risk of violating the law by smoking in public. We have people coming to Colorado on vacation with the possibility of leaving on probation because we have not provided for them a place to legally ingest or smoke the product that we have deemed legal, Marble said. The bill is intended to allow local municipalities to decide what the requirements are for a license to operate a club, she said. All authority of rule-making and regulation goes to the municipalities, and it's all local control. All this bill does is grant a license for them to exist. The bill was the subject of more than 2.5 hours of public testimony, during which opponents brought up issues regarding the health effects from being in smoke-filled environments, and the conflict between the bill and the Colorado Indoor Clean Air Act, which prohibits smoking in most indoor public spaces. R.J. Ayers, Colorado Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society, said research on the effects of marijuana smoke on lung function suggests it is as damaging as tobacco smoke.
This story is from ArizonaCentral.com. Record-setting drought reduced flows on the Colorado River by nearly 20% for the first 15 years of this century. But scientists say drought is not the only reason the water has slowed. Climate change made a bad situation worse and points to a sobering future for one of the West's most critical natural resources. Warmer temperatures on the river, which leads to more evaporation, more use by plants, and more water gone, accounted for the loss of at least 500,000 acre-feet of water a year, scientists said in a study released this week. That's about the amount of water needed to support 2 million people. It's the first time researchers have quantified the effect of heat on the river's flow, said Jonathan Overbeck, one of the study's authors and the director of the University of Arizona's Institute of the Environment. 40 million people in 7 states and Mexico rely on the Colorado River for water and electricity. It is a significant source of water in Arizona, supplying almost half the demand of metropolitan Phoenix. For the study, researchers examined conditions on the river from 2000 to 2014, the period marked by one of the worst droughts in modern history. The river's flow during those years declined by 19%, about 2.9 million acre-feet per year, compared with the long-term average from 1906 to 1999. At the same time, temperatures in the river's upper basin, where the largest amounts of snow runoff originate, averaged 1.6 degrees higher. Researchers said the warm temperatures accounted for at least 1/6 of the water losses, or about 500,000 acre-feet per year. An acre-foot's enough water to support about 2 households for 1 year. That was a conservative estimate. The heat's effects could have been much higher, accounting for as much as 1/2 the losses. The future of Colorado River is far less rosy than other recent assessments have portrayed, said Bradley Udall, the study's co-author, and a senior water and climate scientist at Colorado State University's Colorado Water Institute. A clear message to water managers is that they need to plan for significantly lower river flows.
This story is from the Cortez Journal. Thousands of people in southwest Colorado are enrolled in Medicaid, but the state may not be able to maintain all that coverage if the Affordable Care Act is repealed. President Donald Trump signed an executive order in January aimed at abolishing the law, also known as Obamacare. House Republicans announced Friday that a replacement could be introduced next month, but details are unknown, the Associated Press reported. A report released last week by the Colorado Health Institute found if the law was repealed, the state would need $780 million to maintain Medicaid at its current level. It is unlikely Colorado could come up with the additional money, the report said. Since the expansion of Medicaid, the percentage of people without insurance in Colorado has dropped from 14.3% in 2013 to 6.7%, the Institute said. As of December, about 12,000 people in La Plata County and 9,800 people in Montezuma County had enrolled in Medicaid, according to the Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing. It is too soon to say whether the expansion of Medicaid improved health for Coloradans, and it is difficult to track because the program sees quite a bit of turnover in enrollees, said Mark Williams, a spokesman for the state agency.
According to the Cortez Journal, an agreement between Mancos Valley Resources and the Mancos Farmers Market will allow people who are enrolled in the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, to use benefits for food at the market starting this summer. Mancos Valley Resources is an umbrella organization that extends its nonprofit status to 18 other community organizations. The Mancos Farmers Market will become a project of Mancos Valley Resources and obtain nonprofit status, meeting a U.S. Department of Agricultural requirement that for becoming a SNAP retailer. I'm hoping people who might have considered the market out of their price range will now be able to attend, Farmers Market Manager Brian Kyle said in a news release. This will help get some more good food on people's plates, and it's more customers for the farmers. Live Well, Colorado's Double Up Food Bucks program, may offer further benefits for SNAP beneficiaries, Kyle said. The program provides a match to SNAP credits of up to $20 for Colorado-grown produce, according to Live Well's website. The 2017 season, the Mancos Farmers Market will open on June 1st in Boyle Park in downtown Mancos. Market day will be Thursday with afternoon hours to be announced. On market days, more than a dozen vendors offer locally grown seasonal produce as well as other products and crafts made nearby. Kyle said participation in SNAP benefits program will be optional for market vendors, and those who do not wish to participate will not be required to do so. Participating vendors will be reimbursed at the end of the market day, he added. The Mancos Farmers Market is the newest of several Mancos Valley resource projects that support area agriculture and promote food security. Others include the High Desert Conservation District, Mancos Food Share, the Montezuma Orchard Restoration Project, Montezuma School to Farm, Mount Lookout Grange, and the Southwest Farm Fresh Co-op.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of February 13th through the 19th. A vehicle dropped several bags of garbage on Highway 491. Dunton Hot Springs reported an alarm activation at one of their cabins. It turned out to be a false alarm. Deputies responded to a county residence to perform a welfare check. All was determined to be okay. The sheriff's office received a report of a homeless man in the post office in Cajon. The man was given a courtesy ride to the motel in Dove Creek. A deputy responded to the superette to file an accident report for a truck driver that had hit a deer. A welfare check in town went smoothly and everyone was okay. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
According to the Cortez Journal, a group of athletes from Mancos was ahead of the most of the competition in this year's Mount Taylor Quadrathlon. Logan Ott, who grew up in Mancos and now lives in Los Alamos, New Mexico, completed the race second overall with a time of 3 hours 53 minutes. Mark Ott, Larry Ott, and Mark Povich made up the so-called mediocre mortals, who came in first in the 50 to 59 age division. It's incredible how smoothly they run such a difficult race, Mark Ott said. It just blows me away how well they organize it. The event, which takes place near Grants, New Mexico, features a 4-phase race: biking, running, skiing, and snowshoeing. Competitors trek all the way up to the 11,301-foot summit of Mount Taylor and back down, a 43-mile round trip. Some do the entire race by themselves, but others compete as a team, with different members completing different phases of the race. Mark Ott said it's an intense race. This was the 34th year for the quadrathlon, Mark Ott said. There were about 400 contestants and just as many volunteers helping out during the event, he said.
Thanks for tuning in. Today's broadcast is not aired live and was recorded for rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and will be re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m. each day respectively.
And check us out on the Facebook and YouTube replays. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Jerry Tope and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling.